Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for joining me today. My name is Kathleen Lozito, and I'll be your host for today's webinar titled Financial Planning, a Critical Step Towards Financial Peace of Mind. Joining me today is Katie Gushen, Relationship Manager for AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust. This monthly webinar series is brought to you by AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust. Our vision is to ensure the financial security and independence of members of the armed forces community, active, retired, honorably discharged service members, and their families. We accomplish this by being the premier provider of financial planning, investment management, and trust services for all branches of the military. We are AAFMAA's trust company. AAFMAA stands for American Armed Forces Mutual Aid Association. AAFMAA, created in 1879, is the longest-standing not-for-profit association exclusively serving the military. We empower military families with affordable financial solutions. AAFMAA focuses exclusively on the needs of military families and provides innovative, personalized, and lifestyle-appropriate financial services. A key point that sets AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust apart from other companies is that we are fiduciary. What that means is we have a legal obligation to act in your best interest and for your benefit. One important disclaimer before we begin this month's webinar. The information presented herein was compiled from sources believed to be reliable. This presentation is for educational purposes and is furnished without responsibility for completeness or accuracy. Its general information is not specific investment, legal, or tax advice for any individual. Do not rely on this presentation alone to guide your financial planning decisions. Since each individual situation is unique, your needs for financial services will differ. For individual advice, please contact us directly. We produce this webinar series in-house with our own professional staff as a service to our members and to help them better understand the resources that are available to them. Remember, we'll be hosting a webinar Q&A after the presentation, so please send in your questions to the question bar on your screen. And I will go ahead and turn it over to Katie to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Kathleen, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll start by reviewing the agenda here. So, reasons for a financial plan. Thinking about retirement, what does your retirement picture look like? And this is different for everyone. So, working, gardening, skiing, sitting on a beach, fishing, cruising around the world. What are your plans for your retirement? With the longer life expectancy comes an increased likelihood of needing long-term care. So long-term care concerns, statistically speaking, 2 out of every 3 people over the age of 65 will require long-term care. The average stay for a long-term care event is 3.5 years, but 20% of the population will actually need care longer than 5 years. So if you are one of those people, how will you plan to pay for long-term care? Next, we'll move on to insurance. Are you covered for every possible scenario? We'll take a look at the market volatility and the financial impact it will have on your financial situation. Social Security, when do you need it? When is a good time to take it? And lastly, we will discuss the AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust financial planning process. And then we will conclude, as Kathleen said, this webinar with a question and answer series. Okay, so thinking about retirement and common questions, just some of the common questions we hear. Am I saving enough for retirement? At which age can I retire? What is my standard of living? What does my cash flow look like in retirement? And can I retire early? So thinking about retirement, a lot of people know they want to retire at some point, but few actually know they can do it with certainty. And you don't want to force yourself into a position where you'll have to guess if you will be financially secure. Okay, now this next slide, if you're retiring from the military, so perhaps you're facing the decision of leaving the military, are you able to fully retire? Will you need to continue to work after separating from the military? So if you're considering a second career, do you know how much income you will need to meet your financial goals? And at which specific age do you want to retire? Are you someone who has a goal of retiring at 50 or 60? Again, a financial plan can take the guesswork out of that and make that goal a reality. So a financial plan will allow you to make such an important decision with confidence. This screen here shows just a quick summary of a client's retirement picture, and you can see if they are on track to meet their goal. So here you can see the difference between a successful retirement and a potentially difficult retirement. So if you notice on the left-hand side, this couple is retiring at age 65 and the spouse at age 62. And if you look in the right-hand column, you can see what happens if they retire at age 60 and at 55. So when you factor in everything, their lifestyle, their savings, their portfolio growth, insurance, and everything else, you see what happens when the timeline changes. So another way to look at this, if you know the retirement date, you can adjust your lifestyle to get there. Another area of concern is obviously, as I mentioned, long-term care. So have you considered the possibility of a long-term care event? Do you already have long-term care concerns? So things to consider when thinking about long-term care. Do you have a higher probability of needing it? Do diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia run in your family? And honestly, even if these diseases do not run in the family, 1 in 9 people over the age of 65 will develop Alzheimer's. So as you age, that number actually only increases. And by age 85, it actually affects 1 in 3 people. So in addition to mental illness, you'll also want to consider, the risk of physical injury, so injuries by falling or other activities. So 1/3 of the population over 65 do fall annually. That actually increases to 1 out of 2 people over the age of 80 falling annually. So of those falls, 24% of those people will end up hospitalized. In addition to that, you need to consider things like diabetes, stroke, cancer, obesity, nervous system disorders, so things like Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis, things like that all play a factor in long-term care. And this slide, so people obviously nowadays are living much longer than their parents and their grandparents did. And more people are living to see their 100th birthday. And most people are spending more time in retirement than they ever did in the workforce. So this was not likely the scenario for your parents or grandparents. And with the longer life expectancy comes an increased likelihood of needing long-term care. So just going a little deeper, the long-term care, the average cost of a stay is about $350,000. If you're part of the nearly 20% of people who need it for 5 years or more, that cost is actually near $500,000. So, there's a lot of sticker shock with that one, but there are ways to help offset the cost of long-term care. And a financial plan can help, walk you through some of those options. So how do you want to address the risk associated with the long-term care events? Is that taking out a long-term care policy? Is that considering a whole life insurance policy with a long-term care settlement option? Or simply just making sure there's enough income available to offset those costs? So in the summary on this slide, you can see that we've factored in a 3-year long-term care event at age 75. So starting at age 75 and ending at age 78, this person will go through a long-term care situation. And basically what we're looking at is the spouse able to maintain her lifestyle and meet the long-term care needs? So the answer for this couple was that it looked very good. You can see the 100% on the left side and then the 99% on the right side. Just want to talk about insurance for a moment. So everyone knows the importance of life insurance and the purpose of offsetting the cost at the time of your death. But are you aware of exactly how much life insurance you need? And is there a possibility of you being overinsured? Have you stress tested not only your life insurance, but your financial situation for a premature death? So if your spouse passes away suddenly, Would your family be able to maintain the lifestyle it has grown accustomed to? Will you still be living comfortably 20 years from now with the absence of that income? So many of our clients are surprised to learn that the $400,000 SGLI policy that the military offers is not an adequate amount of insurance. When you factor that in and play it out over the years ahead, it doesn't meet the needs of that family, especially if you're a young couple with minor children. $400,000 is definitely not enough. Most of us are carrying a number of different insurance policies. Do you have the right policy? Are you covering enough? Is there a major risk not being addressed? Other types of insurance, so you want to, take a look at, and we will take a look at your disability insurance. Are you covered? What are the impacts if you become injured or disabled? What are the impacts on your assets? We'll look at health insurance. So again, are you covered? Is it the right coverage? Do you or your family have any health conditions? We'll look at auto insurance, your homeowner's insurance, boater's insurance, motorcycle insurance, as well as an umbrella policy. Is the insurance coverage on your car enough? Is the deductible the right amount? Are your assets protected if you, cause an automobile accident or if your child damages, someone's property? So all things we'll look at when we take a closer look at insurance. And market volatility, this seems to be all the buzz these days. We'll definitely address the market volatility within a financial plan. And while some of you will recall, firsthand the effects of the Great Depression, all of you likely will recall the market effects of 2008. So that's a little more recent and, something most everybody can relate to. But if 2008 taught us anything, it's that you should always be prepared and protect yourself from a downturn in the market. Do you know what your financial outlook would be if you were to experience a bear market? Knowing you would have less time to recover, have you planned to change your investment strategies as you near retirement, to protect from this type of scenario? Am I properly allocated to meet my goals? How much risk am I willing to take in my overall portfolio? And what is the impact of a bear market on my portfolio? This slide here, so we want to take a closer look at not only your current investments, but review your risk tolerance. So are you being overly aggressive as you're nearing retirement? Is this outside your financial comfort zone? So through a multi-question risk tolerance questionnaire and talking with you directly, we're able to help gauge the type of investor that you are or that you strive to be. So from here, we can make recommendations on your current asset allocations and investment objectives. We will also review your excess cash flow and look for ways to best maximize this, whether that's paying down debt or maximizing your retirement contributions or just investing in an after-tax account. So in this slide here, we look at the specific stress test on a portfolio. What happens if there's a major bear market correction the day before you retire, and how does that impact your financial situation? So in the situation above, that major market correction can have a $11.5 million impact over the entire retirement period. The portfolio continues to grow, but it makes it very hard to recover from that situation. And this is just a quick example of a stress test simulated on a portfolio during the financial planning process. We'll take a look at your Social Security. So, everyone thinks Social Security, it'll always be there. And that's what some people say, but will it? Will it always be there? There's, the younger generation, that is a legitimate concern. So as we mentioned earlier, many people are spending more time in retirement than they ever did in the workforce, and that wasn't a strain on the Social Security system back in the 50s and 60s, where the life expectancy was only about 8 years longer than the retirement age. Now that's no longer the case. So additionally, if you and your spouse both work, when is the ideal time to begin collecting Social Security? And are you someone that will benefit from delaying collecting Social Security? Can you financially afford to delay collecting Social Security? The Social Security analysis can help look at the right Social Security strategy to fit your income needs. In the above example here, the results walk through the best strategy or a primary strategy, and then the other options. So taking Social Security early, at full retirement age, or delaying it until age 70. What are the various payouts and what are the benefits? You can see the primary strategy in this example has the best short life, normal life, and long life results. So that would be the best strategy to maximize the Social Security benefit. I want to look at the financial plan through AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust and exactly what that looks like. Costs can vary a lot for financial plans. Some providers offer hourly fees to look at specific situations. So hourly fees can range from about $150 to an upwards of $500 an hour, sometimes maybe even more. Depending on the specific situation, it's important to consider the right financial advisor with enough experience to answer your questions. So experience is a big consideration. If you're shopping price, if you pick the $150 an hour planner, it could take them a few hours to look at the situation and provide a few strategies. The $500 an hour planner might have a lot of experience, be able to quickly review the situation and provide guidance. So consider your specific situation and the experience of the planner to provide the right solutions for you. There's also comprehensive financial plans like the one offered by AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust. A comprehensive financial plan reviews your entire financial picture. So these plans typically range from about $2,500 to even $15,000 at some firms, depending on the complexity of your situation. Through AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust, military members can take advantage of our competitive pricing of $2,100. And now I'd just like to take a deeper look into our financial planning process. So we start with, step one, meeting one. It's data gathering. So here we not only focus on the information we need from our clients, but we also use this time to focus on your financial goals and objectives and any concerns you may have. So in addition to ensuring that you have enough money to last you a lifetime, we are also going to look at things like, are you a couple that wants to travel twice a year? Are you wanting to leave money to your grandchildren or to a charity? This all needs to be discussed before it can be implemented. And then following the data gathering and goal setting meeting, we then review all the data and the meeting notes. This allows us to take a deeper look into the information that may not have been available during that initial meeting. So, perhaps reviewing a loan interest rate or pricing out quotes on a preferred college for your children or your grandchildren, things like that. And then from there, we'll move on to step two. And this report will typically include like a net worth statement, asset allocation, a cash flow report, life insurance analysis. We'll do a Monte Carlo analysis and a detailed list of all the data and assumptions. So the purpose of this meeting and the report is to confirm that the data and assumptions we have made are correct. We want to make sure we have the ownership of assets correct. So his, hers, or joint on the net worth statement. The cash flow of income and expenses seems right. And the inflation costs or cost of living adjustments are agreeable. We will verify that all insurance policies were provided, and based on the data and assumptions, we can see if there's a shortfall on insurance coverages and stress tests for premature death. And then we will move on to step 3. So in step 3, we move towards finalizing our analysis and preparing for alternative scenarios, and then implementing any recommendations. So additionally, we will take a closer look at not only your current investments, but review your risk tolerance. Are you being overly aggressive as you're nearing retirement? Is this outside the financial comfort zone? So through this risk tolerance questionnaire and talking with you directly, we're able to help gauge the type of investor that you are. And from here, we can make the recommendations on your current asset allocation and address your investment objectives as well. So we'll review additionally your excess cash flow and look for ways to maximize this, whether that's paying down a debt, maximizing retirement, or investing in an after-tax account. And then on step 4, which will be the final meeting, we will deliver our executive summary. So here we will showcase the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and then list our recommendations and action items. So following the last meeting, it is imperative for the client to implement the recommendations outlined within the plan. And for clients who invest assets with AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust, we will also offer an up-to-date financial plan as needed. So usually we're looking at this anytime there are major life events, such as purchasing a new home, early retirement, things like that. And this is a great way to take an active role in implementing your financial plan. So we will check with you throughout your lifetime and reach out to you anytime we feel there is a concern. But it's really just a great way to keep a pulse check on your financial situation. And that is basically our process outlined and, everything we'll look for. So just to recap, a financial plan really is a critical step to achieving your financial peace of mind. And we have comprehensive plans available here through AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust for a very competitive price of $2,100. And I'll turn it back over to Kathleen now to address any questions that came in during the webinar.
Great, thank you, Katie. We did have a few questions come in, so let's go ahead and address some of those. Remember, if you have another question later, please reach out to us at wealthmanagement@afma.com or by using the contact information on the screen. Katie's email is kgushen@afma.com. You can also take these last few seconds to enter a question into the question bar on your screen. So the first question we have is, what information would I have to provide for a financial plan?
So obviously, in order to produce a financial plan, you will need to provide some personal information. So we ask that you provide your family's income and expenses. We'll need, the current assets and investments. We also ask for income tax returns, current retirement schedules. If you don't know the current retirement schedule, at least a projection of retirement. We would need existing insurance policies and basically any estate planning documents as well. So those are the big items that we would need going forward.
Great. Next question. What is a Monte Carlo analysis?
So the Monte Carlo analysis basically uses historical data and standard deviation to randomize the rates of return for each asset class. So in a Monte Carlo analysis, we'll run 1,000 different scenarios and returns based on that historical data. And then we use that to calculate a probability of success. So the probability of success is a percentage, and that ranges anywhere from 0 to 100. And it represents the percentage of the 1,000 trials that we run. So by utilizing the Monte Carlo analysis, we're able to ensure, a great probability of success. and help our clients achieve their financial goals.
Great. All right, we have another one here. I have had a financial plan done 5 years ago. Is there any benefit to having another one?
We recommend revisiting your financial plan yearly and basically self-reflecting on it, especially if there have been any major changes. Most financial plans will follow a what-if scenario, but once these, what-if scenarios become permanent, it's important to revisit that plan and then adjust accordingly. So, for example, if you had planned to purchase a house, did you purchase the house, first of all, and did you stay within the budget? So that all needs to be adjusted within your plan because it likely was not down to the exact dollar amount. Another situation or scenario to consider is if you saved for college for either a child or grandchild, and they receive a full scholarship. So have you reallocated that money? A financial plan is just a great way to not only ensure financial success, but also, maximize your earning potential. So if any of these funds are sitting stagnant, a financial plan can help identify these amounts, and then together we can discuss a more financially effective option.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and break here for now, but please don't hesitate to reach out for assistance whenever you need it. We do this every day for our military community, and it is our pleasure. This weekend, you'll receive a follow-up email with instructions on how to access a recording of this presentation. And you can always register for future webinars and review past webinars at afma.com/webinars. If you found this information useful, we encourage you to please share it with your friends and family. Our membership grows stronger every year because you introduce those in your military community to AAFMAA. Thank you again to everyone listening. We look forward to our next opportunity to assist you.